Well, good evening, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Man, it's been rough. It's been rough to think about football games with the loss of Marshon Neland. And it's going to take time for people to heal, especially for the players. Reading a tweet from Wanye Thomas, who he's been getting direct DMs that are saying, yeah, this will motivate you guys to play great and everything else. And he's like, I don't give a damn about football right now. I just lost a brother that I tear with, sweat with, and go to battle with, you know? And there's a lot of raw emotion that is going to be there for quite a while. And unfortunately in life, just like me losing my father and my brother and my father-in-law, as well as others, and like Rashid, the world keeps on going. And you got to take it one day at a time. And I always try and look at this. The only way I can is to look at it from the standpoint of I'm better because that person was there. And I'm better for having that person in my life. I will always miss them, but I have to look at what I gained while they were here. Now, the Cowboys, they got 8 games left. And as always, the Cowboys, everything that they do, everybody always has negative stuff to say about it. And it's the machine that is. It's about making money. People don't ever give you necessarily the real response as much as they do the one that's going to get the most play. So instantly, if the Cowboys do something, you know, it didn't matter what move the Cowboys did. They could have gotten Myles Garrett. Oh, this is stupid. They gave up too much for Myles Garrett. You know that would have happened. If they had done nothing, oh, look at the Cowboys. They're sitting pat. They didn't do anything. The Cowboys literally are always in a no-win situation no matter what they do. Dak Prescott has a good game. You know, oh, well, it's not because of Dak. It's because of somebody. It's because of Micah Parsons or whatever. It's always something negative with everything. And so the Cowboys recognize, and I'm going to be one of those ones, and, you know, talking with my brethren out here, you know, from DMV and E2 Blue and Game Time, I'm happy that they made some moves. Not every move that you make is going to work out. See, right now, it used to be when Howie Roseman was making moves, he got questioned on them. But Howie's got a blank check because Howie is missed on quite a few things in recent years. But he gets a pass. They don't really look that deep into anything that he does. And they soon forget about any mistakes they make. So when the Cowboys made the trades this week, everybody, they gave up too much. You know, and I'm sitting here listening to ESPN. Well, they're not going to be able to keep him. How are you going to pay? You know, George Pickens, he's got to go. There's $75 million over the cap for next year with these players. And I'm sitting here like, bro, I'm looking at over the cap, and we're $35 million over the cap with all the players we just got on there. And that's before we roll over $20 million. That's before the salary cap goes up. That's before we end up letting guys go like Diggs or maybe Malik Hooker or even Terrence Steele. And then there's all the triggers. So I'm like, you guys aren't even putting out the whole story here. And I'm going to be surprised that there's been one voice out there that's actually saying, this is a great move. And I can't believe that I'm hearing this. Let's go to the tape.
And I'll say this, I've been very critical of the Dallas Cowboys for a long time.
Really? That's a
But I am in
surprise.
total disagreement. I watched a little of shows yesterday. I'm in total disagreement with virtually every other media member on what the Cowboys did with Micah and these moves to get Quinnen Williams. So one of the things I liked about the Micah move, it created liquidation and flexibility and diversification. They were going to be too top heavy. And Jerry Jones is a deal maker, and if they signed Luka between CeeDee Lamb and Dak, they just have no flexibility, no diversification. They'd be top heavy. So I think one of the things that's being overlooked that the Cowboys did in this deal to get Quinnen Williams, they kept both number 1 picks in this coming draft in April. That's a big deal. They gave up a first the draft after. Because this draft has 2 things that benefit the Cowboys. Tons of good edge rushers. Now with Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams, interior linemen that are way above average. One of them's a star. They'll go get an edge rusher to add to that. The second thing they have is a quarterback in a quarterback-rich draft where 8 teams are desperate for one. So those picks they give up to the Jets, they can get those back with the flexibility and diversification of 2 first-round picks and what you can do with it. And so the draft has an edge rusher, replace Micah, and quarterbacks don't need, move down that pick. So that's what I love. The second thing is Dallas is saying, and I totally agree with them, by acquiring Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark, what they're telling you is they view interior defensive linemen
This is a first.
as more valuable than edge rushers. And I'm here to tell you,
They're
I
right.
totally agree. The New England Patriots this year spent money on interior defensive line. Number 1 rush defense in the NFL. You know who else has a really good interior defensive line, spends money on it? The Colts.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Top 5 run defense. Here are the teams that have excellent interior defensive linemen. Tampa, Seattle, Denver, Colts, Patriots, Rams, Eagles. That's a different body type. Edge rushers are like wide receivers. You can find tall guys, great athletes, 6'4.5", 6'5.5", that can catch the football or rush a passer. It is incredibly rare to find somebody who's 6'2", 320 with good feet. That's what Quinnen Williams has. Okay, so Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams give you, what's the strength of Philadelphia this year? Why can't the Rams beat Philadelphia? Because they can't block Davis and the kid out of Georgia. They can't block those 2 interior Carter. They can't block them. That's why they lost this year against Philly. It's why they lost in the playoffs last year. They're struggling to block those guys. So Dallas has said, we love Micah, but we'll take flexibility and interior D-line over an expensive edge rusher.
Okay, and I'm going to add to this. Here's the thing. You have to understand football that when somebody is good, it makes others around them better. And see, I don't know how else to ever explain it, but when you look at the Eagles, they didn't exactly have the best edge rushers out there. And we've seen, T.J. Watt. He's never been part of a playoff win. Myles Garrett, same thing. And right now, Micah's got 1. Those are the highest paid edge rushers out there. And we can put in there from the Raiders. I'm sorry, my brain's not been working well lately. Max Crosby. It's kind of like, and sounds crazy, but you see teams that have the highest priced wide receivers aren't winning Super Bowls. The ones that have the great tight ends are. So here's where you look at this and say, if we are able to stop the run, which has clearly been an incredible problem for us, if we have a great interior defensive line that we're talking about Kenny Clark beating more double teams than anybody else, being able to keep the linebackers clean and put a push in the middle, that makes the edge rushers more effective. Because here's what you have to understand is You have a point where you think the mesh point, where you think the quarterback's going to be. So that edge rusher is trying to bend the edge to get up there to the quarterback, right? If he's got a seven step or a 9-step drop back, okay, he's going to be at a certain point. If a quarterback is able to step up in the pocket, then those defenders get rushed past them. And a quarterback does not like to have pressure in their face. They don't like it in their face because they're worried about their knees and everything else. It makes it harder for them to see downfield. See, this has been a problem. We haven't focused on this in forever. And for once, I finally got something that I wanted. And here's the other part of this. So as they go through and they say, oh, well, you should have paid Micah. And now they're saying, oh, you got these guys. And so you can't keep George Pickens. Well, here's what we have for next year. Now, we know Micah Parsons is $47 million cap hit, okay? We right now have Kenny Clark is scheduled to make 21.7, which is still a big chunk of change. And we have Quentin Williams set for 21.5. We got Logan Wilson set for 6.5. Their contracts are done. In essence, that's $48 million. Micah is 46.5. So you got those three players, in essence, for the price of Micah, and you turned a second-round pick into a first. And if the Cowboys do what they've done in the past with first-round picks, trading back, and they've had success when they traded back with and ended up getting Travis Frederick and Terrence Williams, when they traded back and got Micah Parsons and Goldston. If they do something like that, then maybe we've got a day 2 pick as well as that's 2 first-round picks. I don't see how anybody could look at this and say, this was just stupid. That's what you end up getting. And this is where you have to look at this in totality of, it's not just the one trade that you made for Quentin Williams. It is trading Micah Parsons and all of the moves that you made because of it. And that's what happened with the Herschel Walker situation. You gave away Herschel Walker, and you got back more in return that helped build a team. Right now, this, to me, is a great move. Alrighty, good people. As always, I appreciate you all, and we'll see you at 9 o'clock for our live stream. And I know it's hard, people. I know it's hard. I'm going to end with this.
Marshon, well, first of all, we're going to put a star on that helmet.
The Dallas Cowboys select Marshon Neland.
Obviously, the goal is Super Bowl. So, first of all, I got to throw that out there.
That's Peyton's son.
Who is it, guys? Come on, give it to him.
I don't know Marshon Neland, and many of you may have just first heard of him when he recovered that blocked punt for a touchdown.
Neland, the touchdown. He is armed and has a history of mental illness and he will end it all.